Hi, Miriam.
Yeah,
Hi,
hello.
Brian.
Hi.
Good to see you both. Today is a very exciting portion. We're coming now to the third father of our people, the forefather. Brian, do you remember the first one?
Abraham,
Yeah, the second one?
Isaac,
And the third one?
Jacob.
Good stuff. So now we're going to talk about Jacob. We learned about Abraham, we learned about Isaac, and now we're going to read about our forefather, Jacob, and what he went through. And Miriam, you're going to love it because Jacob was a man of many fears.
Yeah.
And it just
Yeah.
shows how human we are. Okay, let's.
He's the guy that got his name changed.
He's the guy who got his name changed. You remember to what he got it changed to?
The place where everybody wants to go, Israel.
Exactly. Good stuff, Brian. You're really listening. You're paying attention. I'm very proud of you. All right. So,
Cookie?
pardon?
You have a cookie?
I'll give you a cookie when I see you next. So, our portion is called Vayetze, which means he left. Yaakov left Beersheba and he set out for Haran. So, I'll start reading and then afterwards, Miriam, you can come on in and read. He came upon a certain place and he stopped there for the night, for the sun had set. In other words, it was evening, and you don't travel at night. Taking one of the stones of that place, it says here he put it under his head, and he lay down at that place. But as our rabbi taught us, he said it's silly to think that he would put it under his head because he would certainly have found something a lot softer as a pillow to put under his head. But a practice that was done, and the word, if you know what the stone was, it's a matseva. It's like the one that we put a stone at the head of the burial plot as an announcement of who is there. And this would be a stone to announce where he was. But it was also to protect him from scorpions or snakes, so that might come behind and bite him on the neck or on the head. So that's what, in our understanding, what that means. And then he had a dream, and a staircase was set on the ground, and its top reached the skies. And it says messengers of God were going up and were going down. It doesn't necessarily mean that these were angels, although most of the depictions that we see were angels. But these messengers were starting from the ground and going up. And remember, one of the things that we know about the scriptures is that it paints a picture for us. And here it's depicting that when we want to get closer to God, we go from the ground up. We have to elevate ourselves to reach God. And here he has a dream. Standing beside him was Yud He Vav He, the creator of the universe, the Borei Olam, who said, I am Yud He Vav He, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. The ground on which you're lying, I will give you and to your offspring. And that's us. We are going to be given that land. We're here in diaspora right now, but one day we will be there. Your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. All the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you and your descendants, which is wonderful. That is our role, simply because we are the followers of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those who come around us will be blessed themselves by our presence, by the things that we do. And there's a song that we sing here. Ufaratsta, 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 yame kadima v'tzafona v'negeva. Negeva. This is from the west to the east to the north and to the south. And he says, remember, hine, pay attention. Here I am. I am with you. I will protect you wherever you go. and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. And this is so important for us to remember that when we're afraid of something, when we are not sure of something, just to remember his words, God's words. I will protect you wherever you go. Don't be afraid. I will protect you until I bring you back to this land, and I will not leave you. Isn't that marvelous to know that?
Right.
Then Jacob woke up from his sleep and said, surely Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh is present in this place, and I didn't know it. He was visibly shaken, and he said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the abode, the dwelling place of God. This is the Sha'ar HaShamayim. We have a synagogue here in Montreal called the Sha'ar HaShamayim, probably taken from here. It's the gateway to heaven. Early in the morning, Jacob took the stone that he put at his head and set it up as a pillar. Matzeva. Remember the stone that you prepared for your burial? You have a matzeva. And he poured oil on it. He was anointing it, which was a very typical thing to do. In today they call it a Mashiach, the sign of a Mashiach, an anointing, when they put oil for a role, for a position. And he named that site Bet El, the house of God. And previously the name of the city had been Luz. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, if God stays with me, if he remains with me, if he protects me on this journey that I'm about to make, and if he gives me bread to eat and clothing to wear, and if I return safe to my father's house, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh shall be my God.
It's funny, he's still doubting a little bit after all the things that are happening to him.
Well, not a lot happened yet.
Yeah, but still he's being glad and he knows God is with him. And anyway, he's like us.
He's totally like us. But remember, Jacob lived in fear. He fled because he was afraid of his father,
His
of his
brother.
brother. He fled because he knew he had deceived his own father Isaac, and Rivka took that vow on her. He was always afraid. So he's saying, if just prove to me, God, that you're going to be with me. Show me that you're going to protect me. And we're all like that. And God wants us to trust him. And this stone, which I have set up as a pillar, shall be God's abode. And of all that you give me, I will set aside a tithe for you. He's going to set a portion of whatever God gives him out of gratitude, because he knows that God is taking care of him and that God is providing. So really, when we give back to God, when we set apart our donations and our offerings which are much more than a tenth, as some people think, when we set that apart for God, we're really giving him back what he gave to us. We're just taking back to him what he gave us. Then Jacob resumed his journey, and he came to the land of the east. And there before his eyes was a well in the opening. In the open, 3 flocks of sheep were lying there beside it, for the flocks were watered from that well. The stone on the mouth of the well was large. When all the flocks were gathered there, the stone would be rolled from the mouth of the well, and the sheep watered. Then the stone would be put back in place at the mouth of the well. So we see it's very down to earth. The flocks were just hanging out and waiting for it to be watered. And Jacob said to them, my friends, where are you from? And they said, we're from Haran. And he said to him, do you know Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, yeah, we do. And he continued, is he well? They answered, yes, he is. These are very typical greetings. Like when you meet someone, are you well? Did you sleep well? How are you? It's a very down-to-earth book. Everybody thinks that this book is so spiritual and so holy and there's hidden messages everywhere. And there may be some, but it really is real people doing real things. And they answered and said, yeah, he is. And there's his daughter Rachel coming with the flock. He said, it's still broad daylight, too early to round up the animals, to water the flock and take them to pasture. But they said, we can't until all the flocks are rounded up. Then the stone is rolled off the mouth of the well, and we water the sheep. And while he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's flock, for she was a shepherd. Imagine, Rachel was a shepherd, a shepherdess. That's not an easy job.
No, no.
So she also was a pretty tough woman. These women were tough, just like my Miriam. She's tough. And when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of his uncle Laban, and the father and the flock of his uncle Laban, Jacob went up and rolled the stone off the mouth of the well and watered the flock of his uncle Laban. So he did it. He was also a shepherd. Then Jacob kissed Rachel. He was so happy to see her, and he broke into tears. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's relative. He was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. On hearing the news of his sister's son Jacob, Laban ran to greet him. He embraced him and he kissed him and he took him into his house and he told Laban all that had happened. Now, guaranteed, when Laban saw Jacob, he would remember back to when the servant came and all the money that he brought and all the gifts, the rings, the nose rings, the earrings, the bracelets. So this time he was looking to see, okay, what does he have for me this time? The problem was that Jacob ran and took nothing with him. It was just him and his robe. And Laban said to him, you are truly my bone and flesh. When he had stayed with him a month's time, Laban said to Jacob, just because you're a relative, should you work for me for nothing? Tell me, what shall your wages be? Now, Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older one was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Rachel had weak
Leah. Sorry.
Leah had weak eyes. In other words, she was very timid. She wasn't outgoing. She wasn't beautiful. Maybe she wore glasses. Who knows? But Rachel was shapely and beautiful, and men loved that. Jacob loved Rachel. He was attracted to her. So he answered, I will serve you 7 years for your younger daughter, Rachel. And Laban said, better that I give her to you than I should give her to an outsider. Stay with me. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of his love for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife, for my time is fulfilled that I may live with her. And Laban gathered all the people of the place and made a big feast with lots of wine and lots of food, and probably got his son-in-law drunk because he knew what he was going to do. When evening came, he took his daughter Leah and brought her to him, and he went into her, cohabitated with her. Laban had given his maidservant Zilpah to his daughter Leah as her maid. When morning came, there was Leah. So he said to Laban, what is this you've done to me? I was in your service for Rachel. Why did you deceive me? And Laban said, is it not the practice in our place to marry off the younger before the older? Now this was honestly, this was like a slap in the face to him. He had to face in this moment his own deceit, because he knew that the older one, who was Esau, needed the place of the firstborn. And here, exactly midah keneged midah, measure for measure, is being done to him exactly that had been done, that he did to Esau. So wait until the bridal week. It took a week for the wedding and all the festivities. Wait for the bridal week of this one to be over, and we'll give you that one too. That's when we'll give you Rachel. And then you'll need to serve me for another 7 years. So Jacob did so. He waited out the bridal week of the one, and then he gave him his daughter Rachel as his wife. Laban had given his maidservant Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as her maid. So you see, each one went with their maid. And Jacob cohabitated with Rachel also, and indeed he loved Rachel more than Leah. And he served him another 7 years. But seeing that Rachel was unloved, the Lord opened her womb. But
Maybe
Rachel,
seeing that Leah was unloved, sir.
seeing that, I don't know why I keep reading the
No,
wrong.
'cause
I'm ahead of myself. I have ADHD, I guess. Seeing that Leah was unloved, God opened her womb. But Rachel remained barren. Leah conceived and bore a son and named him Reuven, which means Reusi, I see my son. For she declared, it means the Lord has seen my affliction. And it also means, now my husband will love me. She conceived again and bore a son and declared, this is because the Lord heard that I was unloved and has given me this one also. So she named him Shimon. Again she conceived and bore a son and declared, this time my husband will become attached to me, for I have borne him 3 sons. So she named him Levi, my heart. She conceived again and bore a son and declared, this time I will praise Yud He Vav He. And she named him Yehudah, which means praise. The people, we are called Yehudim after this 4th son. And those who follow the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, those who are called praisers of Yud He Vav He. Then she stopped bearing. You want to read, Miriam?
okay. When Rachel saw that she had borne Jacob no children, she became envious of her sister. And Rachel said to Jacob, give me children or I shall die.
Give me children. Put a little bit of oomph in there. I'm gonna
Yeah.
die. She's upset with her husband.
Jacob was incensed at Rachel and said, can I take the place of God who has denied you fruit of the womb? She said, here is my maid Bilhah, consort with her, that she may bear on my knees, and that through her I too may have children. So she gave him her maid Bilhah. This is like Sarah and
Exactly.
yeah.
It was a custom in the Middle East for us today living in this world. It's hard to imagine these things, but for them, they weren't looking for Hollywood love. They were looking to have children, to multiply, to, however it was going to be. And if they couldn't have it, then their servant, who was basically a slave to them, belonged to them, was almost a part of who they were. They took care of them, lived with them consistently. They could have a child through her, and those children would belong to the master. Just like when there was slavery in the United States and the slave belonged to the owner, if that slave had a child, that child belonged to the owner. It was very similar. It's hard for us to imagine, but these are the customs of the day, and we have to see it that way when we read these stories. So she gave him her maid Bilhah as concubine, and Jacob cohabitated with her. Okay.
Bilhah conceived and bore Yaakov a son. And Rachel said, God has vindicated me. Indeed, God has heeded my plea and given me a son. Therefore she named him Dan. Rachel's maid Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. And Rachel said, a fateful contest I waged with my sister, yes, and I prevailed. So she named him Naphtali. Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had stopped bearing children, she took her maid Zilpah and gave her to Yaakov as concubine. And when Leah's maid Zilpah bore Yaakov a son, Leah said, what luck! So she named him Gad. When Leah's maid Zilpah bore Yaakov a second son, Leah declared, what fortune! Meaning, women will deem me fortunate. So she named him Asher.
And notice that they use things like luck. I don't know what it
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
and fortune, because these women still came under, she didn't say, oh, we're so blessed by God.
Right.
These women were living with Lavan. They had their own gods. They didn't know the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob yet. When we say the prayer, may God make you like Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, sometimes I wonder,
Yeah.
yeah, what are we praying? Are we to be
Well, I
like,
think we idolize our ancestors.
we do? And that I remember our rabbi constantly told us, don't make hero out of these people, because they're not. These women were idol worshippers, and we're going to see that a little later with Rachel.
It also doesn't mean that it's setting precedent. Like just because a man had a baby with his maid doesn't make that a correct thing to do. We can't use that as a formula for us to live by. That was the
Exactly.
culture of the time.
Exactly. That's why we don't do things that we live in our culture, but look for the principles behind it.
Right, right.
Exactly.
Okay. Once at the time of the wheat harvest, Reuben came upon some mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Rachel said to Leah, please give me some of your son's mandrakes. Those are what, not aphrodisiacs, they're to help you, fertility things.
Yes, exactly. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it's very possible that, if you look at a mandrake, it almost looks like it has a skin almost like ginger, but it's shaped like a human. It's really interesting. And they would take these mandrakes, put it under the bed or under the mattress, and then they would pray to their gods, and the women would become pregnant. So it was superstition.
But she said to her, was it not enough for you to take away my husband, that you would also take my son's mandrakes? Rachel replied, I promise he shall lie with you tonight in return for your son's mandrakes. When Yaakov came home from the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, you are to sleep with me, for I have hired you with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night.
Can you imagine doing that today? Although there are some communities,
Cults, there are cults that do that.
not only cults, there are Christian groups that believe in many wives. I think they live in Utah or something.
Mormons.
The
No,
Mormon.
the
Yeah,
Mormons. Yeah, I guess that's the
yeah.
Mormon. Not Jehovah's Witnesses.
No.
God heeded Leah, and she conceived and bore him a fifth son. And Leah said, God has given me my reward for having given my maid to my husband. So she named him Issachar. When Leah conceived again, she bore Yaakov a sixth son. Leah said, God has given me a choice gift. This time my husband will exalt me, for I have borne him six sons. So she named him Zebulun.
So look how all these sons will become the leaders, the heads of the 12 tribes of Israel. Actually, there's a 13th tribe that's going to be created. It's not just 12. The 13th is when Levi was set apart as a priest, and then Joseph would become two tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim. But in all this, these were the heads of the whole people of Israel.
Right.
Yeah.
Last, she bore him a daughter and named her Dinah. There must be something special about her that she's mentioned.
Yes. Well, we're going to see what happens with her.
Right. Now God remembered Rachel. God heeded her and opened her womb. She conceived and bore a son and said, God has taken away my disgrace. So she named him Joseph, which is to say, may Adonai add another son for me. And Rachel had borne Joseph.
After.
After Rachel had borne Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, give me leave to go back with my own home to my own homeland. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served you, that I may go. for well you know what services I have rendered you. But Laban said to him, if you will indulge me, I have learned by divination that Hashem has blessed me on your account.
Ha, there's no,
Divination, there you go.
exactly. And what a lie, what a deceitful guy this is. Here, Jacob's asking him, let me go. I've been here long enough. I have all my wife, and he still wouldn't let him
This
go.
is after 7 years here. Must be, I don't know, 10 years or something or more.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he continued, name the wages due from me, and I will pay you. But he said, you know well how I have served you and how our livestock has fared with me.
Well, we know at least it's got to be more than 14 years because he worked 7 years for Rachel and 7 years for,
Right,
I mean,
right,
for
right.
Leah there and 7 years for Rachel. So we know
Well, I meant even after the seven
yeah,
years for Rachel, she's already born a bunch of children.
exactly. So
Yeah.
it could be we're going into the 20th year that he's
So
there.
he's certainly not keeping his
Yeah.
promise.
Yeah.
But okay. For the little you had before I came has grown so much, since Hashem has blessed you wherever I turned. And now, when shall I make provision for my own household?
So here he knows Laban knows that Jacob is like the goose that laid the golden egg. For
Right,
him, he's prospered because of it. He doesn't want to let him go. I understand
right,
it. But Jacob's right. He wants to go home. I need to make
yeah,
provision for my own household.
right. He said, what shall I pay you? And Yaakov said, pay me nothing. If you will do this thing for me, I will again pasture and keep your flocks. Let me pass through your whole flock today, removing from there every speckled and spotted animal, every dark-colored sheep, and every spotted and speckled goat. Such shall be my wages. In the future, when you go over my wages, let my honesty toward you testify for me. If there are among my goats any that are not speckled or spotted, or any sheep that are not dark-colored, they got there by theft. And Laban said, very well, let it be as you say.
So you understand the scenario, what's going on
Well, I
here.
think it's about heredity. If you have all those animals that will be mating will make speckled animals.
Well, it's just he wants to separate. He wants to take some for him and leave some for Laban. So all the ones that will be speckled will be his wages, Jacob's, and everyone that will be it says, if there are any among my goats, any that are not speckled or spotted, or any sheep that are not dark colored, they got there by theft. In other words, Laban can keep all the plain ones, and Jacob is going to take and Laban agreed. But look what he does. That
Yeah, now he's
same,
cheating, but he's also doing that because you'd know if there were a non-speckled one, he could blame him and say it's theft. This way, there's no way he could do that. Like if they're only speckled, he hasn't stolen any of Laban's
yeah,
animals.
but look what he does. He removes every streaked and spotted male goats, and he removes every speckled and spotted female goats.
Okay, everyone that had white on it, and all the dark-colored sheep, and left them in the charge of his sons. So what was left for Laban, for Jacob at this point? Anyway, I don't know. And he put a distance of 3 days' journey between himself and Yaakov, while Yaakov was pasturing the rest of Laban's flock. Yaakov then got fresh shoots of poplar and of almond and plane, and peeled white stripes in them, laying bare the white of the shoots. I
The
wonder what
only
that means.
the only ones that he had were plain colored animals, cattle. All the speckled ones. Jacob asked him for the speckled and spotted
Right,
ones,
right.
and he agreed. And then he told his sons, "Get those and go. Put 3 days distance journey between you and Jacob." And he left them. He left Jacob with only the plain ones. So then Jacob has an idea. Maybe he prayed, maybe God gave him this idea to take different types of trees, poplar, almond, and a plain, it's called a plain tree, and peeled white stripes in them, laying bare the whites of the shoots. And then he put the rods that he'd peeled, he set them up in front of the goats in the troughs, the water receptacles that the goats came to drink from. So they were mating in front of those. It's like they were looking at those because now those would be striped. And since the goats mated by the roads, the goat brought forth streaked, speckled, and spotted young.
This must be obviously
This is a
something
miracle.
supernatural, a
Yeah,
miracle.
it
Yeah.
has to be. It has to be. And I think a little bit of it is also superstition. My mother-in-law was born in Egypt. And I remember when I got pregnant, she said to me, take a picture, cut out a picture in a magazine of what you want your baby to look like. So I look through magazines. She says, cut it out, put it on your fridge, and look at it every day. If I'm telling you my daughter looked like that picture,
Are you
I'm
serious?
serious. I'm very serious. But I
Did you
think,
pick, did you know you were having a girl at that time?
no.
But
But
she still looked like that picture.
yeah. And I think subconsciously, I probably picked a picture that looked like me when I was a baby.
Maybe.
It's like, but superstition is so rife in the Middle East.
Right, right.
And it comes from things like this.
But Yaakov dealt separately with the sheep. He made these animals face the streaked or wholly dark-colored animals in Laban's flock, and so he produced special flocks for himself, which he did not put with Laban's flocks. Moreover, when the
Sturdier.
sorry, my eyes. Moreover, when the sturdier animals were mating, Yaakov would place the rods in the troughs in full view of the animals so that they mated by the rods. But with the feebler animals, he would not place them there. Thus the feeble ones went to Laban and the sturdy to Yaakov. So the man grew exceedingly prosperous and came to own large flocks, maidservants and menservants, camels and donkeys. Says the man. I wonder why, like he didn't, at that point he said the man.
Yeah, Haish. I guess he
Yeah.
was growing up.
No, instead of giving his name.
Yeah, maybe because he was growing up. Here he's taken his place as a man.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah. Now he heard the things that Laban's sons were saying. Jacob has taken all that was our father's. Imagine.
Yeah,
And believing the lies. And from that which was our father's, he has built up all his wealth. That was the opposite.
yeah.
Jacob also saw that Laban's manner toward him was not as it had been in the past. And the Lord said to Jacob, return to your ancestors' land, where you were born, and I will be with you. Jacob had Rachel and Leah called to the field where his flock was, and he said to them, I see that your father's manner toward me is not as it has been in the past, but the God of my father has been with me. My father's has been with me, as you know. I have served your father with all my might, but your father has cheated me, changing my wages time and again. God, however, would not let him do me harm. If he said this, the speckled shall be your wages, then all the flocks would drop speckled young. If he said this, the streaked shall be your wages, then all the flocks would drop streaked young. God has taken away your father's livestock and given it to me.
Wow, that's good.
Once at the mating time of the flocks, I had a dream in which I saw that the he-goats mating with the flocks were streaked, speckled, and mottled. And in the dream, a messenger of God said to me, Jacob, here I am, I answered. What does it say? Hineni.
Hineni, yeah.
Love that. And the messenger said, note well that all the he-goats which are mating with the flocks are streaked, speckled, and mottled, for I have noted all that Laban has been doing to you. Oh, so this came from a dream.
Right.
Yeah. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a Matseva, where you made a vow to me. Now arise and leave this land and return to your native land. I'm still waiting for God to say that to me. Now Rachel and Leah answered him, saying, have we still a share in the inheritance of our father's house? Surely he looks at us as outsiders now that he has sold us and has used us. Used up.
Vest. Where's the vest?
Brian?
Where's the vest you want me to wash?
Brian, put it on mute, please. Okay.
I don't understand.
Hang on a second. Let me go back. Hold on. So at this point, if Laban changed how he was with Jacob,
Right,
he knew he was changing towards his own daughters because they're going to be leaving.
right,
So surely he regards us as outsiders because they didn't belong to him anymore. They now belong to Jacob. Now that he has sold us and has used up our purchase price, it's like whatever Laban had, there was always a dowry in those days.
right.
So everything that Jacob earned was considered like a dowry. That's what they were sold for. And this is my understanding. It could be
Yeah,
something else. So he used up he was no more going to be the golden, the hen that laid the golden egg.
right.
It was all used up. Truly, all the wealth that God has taken away from our father belongs to us and to our children. Now then, do just as God has told you. Therefore, Jacob put his children and wives on camels, and he drove off all his livestock and all the wealth that he had amassed, the livestock in his possession that he had acquired in Padam Aram, to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. Meanwhile, Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole her father's household idols. If she was a believer in Jacob's God, why would she have done this?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's why when we say, let my children be like Rachel, I don't want my daughter like Rachel. Jacob kept Laban, the Aramean, in the dark, not telling him that he was fleeing because he was afraid. Because Laban had a lot of men working under him. And Jacob didn't build an army. He had flocks and he had women and children.
Right.
And he fled with all that he had. Soon he was across the Euphrates and headed toward the hill country of Gilead. That's where Gideon was from, wasn't it? Gilead?
I think so.
On the third day, Laban was told that Jacob had fled. So he took his relatives with him, and he chased them, pursued them a distance of 7 days, catching up with him in the hill country of
But
Gilead.
it's amazing. He still, I mean, he had fulfilled his duty many times over, and he shouldn't have had to flee.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah, because he tried to leave. He asked them, let me go.
right,
And they didn't want. But God had appeared to Laban, the Aramean, in a dream by night and said to him, beware of doing anything with Jacob, good or bad. And Laban overtook Jacob. Jacob had pitched his tent on the hills, on the hill country, and Laban with his kinsmen encamped in the hill country of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, what did you mean by keeping me in the dark and carrying off my daughters like captives of the sword?
Ay.
Why did you flee in secret and mislead me and not tell me? I would have sent you off with festive music, with timbrel and lyre. You liar. Never mind, you wouldn't have done that at all. You didn't even let me kiss my sons and my daughters goodbye. It was a foolish thing for you to do. I have it in my power to do your harm. But the God of your father said to me last night, because he knew it wasn't his God,
Right.
beware of attempting or doing anything to Jacob, good or bad.
Yet he still feared. He knew that he had to obey. I mean,
Yeah.
here
Oh,
we're
yeah.
seeing that.
Yeah, because I'm sure none of his God spoke to him.
Or if but there's, for sure, something different here.
Exactly. Very well. You had to leave because you were longing for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods? And Jacob answered Laban, saying, I was afraid because I thought you would take your daughters from me by force. Now, we have to be, these next words, we have to be so careful before any vow comes out of our mouth. That's why there's a whole chapter in Leviticus on vows. Anyone with whom you find your gods shall not remain alive.
Wow.
He didn't know Rachel had stolen her father's gods. In the presence of our kin, point out what I have of yours and take it. Jacob, of course, did not know that Rachel had stolen them. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and Leah's tent and the tent of the two maidservants, but he didn't find them. Leaving Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Rachel, meantime, had taken the idols and placed them in the camel saddle. It's a camel saddle or a camel cushion, and sat on them. And Laban rummaged through the tent without finding them. For she said, here she deceived her father. That's what she learned in this household. Like Rebecca had learned deception. That's what this household was all about. Let not my Lord take it amiss that I cannot rise before you, for I have my period. Thus he searched, but could not find the household idols. Now Jacob became incensed and took up his grievance with Laban. Jacob spoke up and said to Laban, What's my crime? What is my guilt that you should pursue me? You rummaged through all my things, and what have you found of your household objects? Set it here before my kin and yours, and let them decide between us two. These 20 years, you asked? Here it is.
Right.
These 20 years I have spent in your service. Your ewes and your female goats never miscarried, nor did I feast on rams from your flock. That which was torn by beasts I never brought to you. I myself took on the loss. You exacted it of me, whether snatched by day or snatched by night. Often the scorching heat ravaged me by day and frost by night, and sleep fled from my eyes. In the 20 years that I spent in your household, I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 more years for your flocks, and you changed my wages time and again. Had not the God of my father, the God of Abraham and the fear of Isaac, been with me, you would have sent me away empty-handed. But it was my plight and the toil of my hands that God took notice of and gave judgment on that night, on last night. So Jacob at this point had learned his lessons over and over again. He paid for the deceit that he did, because those things, kenet midah, keneged midah, what we get is what we give. This is a lesson for every one of us. Then Laban spoke up and said to Jacob, The daughters are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All that you see is mine. Yet what can I do now about my daughters or the children they have borne? So come then, let us make a pact, you and I, that there may be a witness between you and me. So Jacob took a stone and he set it up as a pillar. And Jacob said to his kinsmen, Gather stones. And they took stones and made a mound. And they had a meal together there by the mound. And Laban named it Yagar Sahaduta. What does it mean? The mound of witness. Sahaduta or whatever. But Jacob called it Galed, which means, reflecting Gilead, the mound of witness also. Okay. And Laban declared, This mound is a witness between you and me this day, which is why it was named Galed. And it's called Mizpah because he said, May Yud-He-Vav-He watch between you and I. When we are out of sight of each other. What's the word for watch here? Yeah, watch. If you ill-treat my daughters or take other wives beside my daughters, though no one else is around, remember, it is God who will be a witness between you and me. In other words, everything is to be kept in his tribe, not a daughter from anybody else's. It's all have to stay in the family. And Laban said to Jacob, here is this mound, and here's the pillar which I set up between you and me. This mound shall be a witness, and this matzeva shall be a witness that I am not to cross to you past this mound, and that you are not to cross to me past this mound and this pillar with hostile intent. May the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, their ancestral deities, judge between us. God swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Jacob then offered up a sacrifice on the height and invited his kinsmen to partake of the meal. After the meal, they spent the night on the height. It's always around food. Everything was done around food. Early in the morning, Laban kissed his sons and daughters and bade them goodbye. Then Laban left on his journey homeward. Jacob went on his way, and the messengers of God encountered him. And when he saw them, Jacob said, this is God's camp. So he named that place Mahanaim. And that ends this week's portion.
I forget the.
Hello, Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
Hello, hello.
Yes, Miriam, what are you saying?
I'm wondering about the idols. If it's anywhere else they find the idols, or what happens that she stole.
Well, we know she died on the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering. I guess she never actually told him, Yaakov.
No, she didn't tell him in the same way Rivka never told Isaac. So we have the beginning of all these dysfunctions in our family. So I don't know when you came in, Jerry. I hope you were able to hear.
I saw you.
I came in, I think, before the half hour, before I took.
Okay. Well, I was busy reading. I didn't see. So, any comments of what we read tonight?
Well, some of those things, that you want to call that folklore, is like looking at a picture for someone that's a little bit entrenched with some people.
Explain.
Well, that people believe in it a little bit. It's entrenched, that they.
You have no idea how entrenched things are. This week, it's very interesting. I was trying to get a special appointment with an ophthalmologist for my eyes, but I needed a referral, and I was given the name of the person who would give me the referral, and I kept calling over and over, and the line was busy constantly. And I dialed the number the last time, and believe it or not, I crossed my fingers.
Yeah, me too.
And I said to myself, where did that come from? Where is crossing your fingers going to do anything? Where is knocking on wood going to do anything? All these comes from these ancient deities, these ancient superstitions, things that we do. We are so entrenched with them. We don't even realize all the things that we do. But when we start, the more I find, the more I learn the Torah, and the more I see, I pay attention to my habits, to look inside and see what I'm doing. And the interesting thing, something I learned very important for me this week, was I was trying to get out of, I recently had a pair of eyeglasses made. And the glasses have been bothering me from the day that I had them. And I couldn't understand what was wrong. And I went back once and I called them. And they said it takes time to get used to. And I just, to tell you the truth, I have it in me, don't bother people. My mother was like that. Don't rock the boat. It'll be okay. Don't bother anybody. And even though I'm strong in many ways and I'll fight for other people, but sometimes for myself, I don't. And then I was thinking, I was getting frantic when I was trying to get this appointment and I couldn't get through the phone. So I crossed my fingers and then I stopped and I said, wait a minute, what is really going on here? And I had to take a look at what was going on inside me that didn't want to deal with going back to the office and talking to them about what was wrong. I didn't know. I wasn't accusatory. I just wanted to know. And I knew that God was not going to let me get away with it. I needed to go and get past my fear. All our forefathers have had to learn how to get past their fear. When we have fear of something, we are putting that above our God. We are not trusting Him.
I'm going through that now with just a rental increase, which I understand what's going on in the rental world. I know all that, but I think given that I've been there over 30 years, it's too much, $47. Anyway, but the point is why a part of me just wants to let it go. I say, oh, rents are high everywhere because I don't like encountering him.
Yes.
He's very cuts you off, and
I know. We hate confrontation.
well, and yet you know me, I could be put me in
Yes.
another circumstance, so it's like double
Listen, I've seen you on the
sided.
bus.
Yes. But I'm saying I just almost, despite the money, I feel I need to go.
Yes.
The face, he's not a monster, but he doesn't listen, and sometimes he just could steamroll over you.
And
You know.
let's pray that God goes before you. Because when I did go and I walked into the office, I went up to the woman behind the desk and I started explaining the situation. She was so kind and she was so nice. And then I went to the man. She sent me over to him. And he was so kind and he was so nice. And he said, bring me back the glasses tomorrow. And I went back today and I brought them. And he checked them and he says, the two pair of glasses that you brought me from before have not dealt with your astigmatism. And he says, these do. You have astigmatism. And I knew that. But the
Right,
other two, the older ones, and he says, now you have to it's like your brain is having to rewire.
right.
So he says, give it a little more time. And if it doesn't work, you come back and I'm going to get you another appointment with another. And I said, you see, when we face our fear and we let God lead the way, things open.
Yeah, well, I am going to go, but last year or the year before when I went, he said, I don't want to talk to the rent about to anybody. And that's not a democracy. I have the right to talk to him about it.
And you can tell him that
I
with
will.
kindness,
Yeah,
with
right. I will.
strength, knowing
Right,
that you are a child of God
right, right,
and that
right,
God goes before you. He's like a shepherd who prepares the way for the flock
right.
because we're stupid sheep. We get into trouble all the time. God prepares the way. And I see that more and more in my life. I am so overwhelmed at his provision and watching that as soon as I'm afraid of something, if I don't back off, if I just go forward like Moses, God told Moses, step into the sea. And he told Joshua, step into the Jordan, and it parted. God parts rivers for us. We belong to him, the
Mm.
creator of the universe. He knows us. It's shocking. It's it's awesome. And so that's our walk through this world. Step by step, a little bit higher and higher each time. And there's no guarantee that you'll get a decrease in the rent, but maybe income will come from another place that you never imagined.
Mm.
We don't know what God is going to do.
That's true.
Yeah, we have to trust him. Our whole walk from the beginning to the end is all about trusting in the Creator, not in ourselves. And I was reading the Haftorah portion today about Malachi, and it talks about God roaring like a lion.
Wow.
And wherever we see pictures of a lion, it's always talking about God. The Lion of Judah is God. It's not,
Right.
it's not us. Our army is not a lion. The God behind the army
Right,
is the
right.
lion. And
The Aslan of God.
God isn't asking us to be proud and in the strength that we have. He's asking us to be humble and be proud in his strength that he holds us up with. It's very different.
Yeah. Jerry, wake up.
Well, I just, Miriam, I was surprised in the past week. I heard that uh, that people look at a picture and it could do something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if if how accurate that is, but anyhow.
Totally. You mean if we look at a picture and it could bring out some emotions?
No, like people have mentioned that. If you look at a picture of someone or something, the child could resemble that, and I'm just
Oh, yes. Yes. Honestly, if you took a look at it, it was actually looked very much like me. It's probably why because I thought it was such a cute baby. But it's
Well, it's
amazing.
true. Well, both your kids have dark brown hair, right?
Yeah.
That's your hair,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it was dark brown. But the Torah, if people could, I remember our rabbi was always talking about that the Torah is written in a language of pictures. And even if not one story is true, if it's simply a book of morality, a book of wisdom, a book of growth, a book of healing, that in itself is enough.
Well, a book of God.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's God's book. It's
right.
God's book to humanity. And when we stray from it in any way, we open the door to go in the wrong direction. And God wants us back and once we're in the right direction, it's upward. It's an upward movement. That's why sometimes, Miriam, when you say to me, I'm afraid I'm going to go back, and I say to you with assuredness, you will not,
Mm,
because you're walking with God now. And so it's two steps up, one step back. We're always higher. I see myself doing things and saying things and accepting things now that I never would maybe a year ago or
right.
2 years ago. And I see these changes in me that I didn't know were happening, but they're happening because of a willingness to step forward with God, to
Mm,
walk with Him. That's what our forefathers did. And each one of them is the next step in walking with God. So it's just beautiful. And each picture, Hebrew is a language of pictures, and a picture paints 1,000 words, which is why everybody will look at the things that we write and get something for them. Something
right,
that works for me may not work for you because of your character.
right,
So, but God knows how to deal with each of us in a language that we understand. He
right,
speaks to us like He spoke to our forefathers. It's marvelous. There are people who have dreams. God speaks to us in dreams. And He spoke to Laban in a
Yeah, that's
dream.
even
Yeah.
to unbelievers.
He speaks to
Well,
everybody.
like Balaam also.
Balaam, exactly. So it's marvelous.
What's that beautiful picture, Jerry, behind you?
I don't know. I just find it's like just a sun shining. It looks like it, eh?
It could be
Yeah,
a
sun
sunrise.
and
It could
Looks
be a
like
sunrise or a sunset. It's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. I think it's a sunrise or a sunset.
it's
So
like a plains,
Yeah.
sun
if
over the
you want to be
plain.
optimistic, you'll say it's a sunrise.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think with the sunset, the colors may be a little different, but it looks like the
Did
plains
you
of
see?
Abraham.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, beautiful. So if there's nothing else that you want to add, I want to wish you a wonderful week, the rest of your week. May God walk with us each and every day. May we wake up in the morning and in the silence of our mind just thank him for everything that he's
Oh,
done to us?
you mentioned a little something now. If
Yes.
you, if I don't want to give you a little job, but there's different ways. But you just mentioned God walks with us. There's different people walk before God, walked beside God, walked with God. I don't. You might want to see which was which. I mean, I'm not trying to give you a job, but because different people, they put them in different positions.
Yes, but if you look at whenever we put ourselves before God, like Sarah did, Sarah had Abraham, they were given a prophecy that Abraham would have children. And Sarah was already 89 and she wasn't pregnant. So she gave him Hagar. She went before God, ahead of God. Every time we go ahead, we think we can't wait for him because God takes his time. He wants to teach us to trust him. When we go ahead, walking with God doesn't necessarily mean that he will get us out of the circumstances, that he will solve our problems for us, because it's in us solving our problems that we grow. Walking with him means he's going to help us through them, and he opens doors that we never knew existed. And I see that out of the blue something will happen, and I know that he's opened a door that I never knew. I never thought of. That's why whenever someone says, write all your life goals, I've never written a life goal in my life. I just know what I'm going to do today because I'm working on certain things that God has shown me to work on. So,
You
is that
know,
what?
I'll make another comment on that, Peggy.
Okay.
You are blessed because the commandment, the fourth commandment, what does it say?
Keep the Shabbat.
None of before that.
That's what this fourth commandment is.
Yeah, but before that, it says something like 6 days.
Shall you labor and do all your work? And the seventh
Exactly.
day you shall rest.
And you
Yes.
did exactly what people do is that you took the second half, which I think it's important that we take both halves. I think it's important that 6 days one should work, and you are blessed in that you have that work for
Yeah.
6 days, and
Yes.
it's a very, very, very important. Those
Yes.
6 days are. I'm not sure which is more important, but I can't express it properly. But it's important that you work the 6 days and rest on the seventh. But people emphasize resting on the seventh. But I think the working on the 6 days, and I think if you look into it, it's so. This is my addition for tonight, except I think if you look into it, it's very, very important. Working 6 days keeps your sanity,
Yes.
keeps you working, keeps
Yes.
you away from stress. It's
Yes.
very, very important.
Yes.
And
Especially if you feel that if you know you have a purpose and you know your
that's
role.
exactly it's very important. And
Yeah.
as you mentioned when I first mentioned that, the fourth thing, we do not emphasize that. But I think, and maybe you could look into it just a little bit more, it's very important for our lives. And I'm
Yes.
not sure if uh, resting on the Sabbath is a rest from the 6 days, and also renewing our energy so we can work again. It's a cycle, and you probably like this. It's a cycle, so you have to complete the cycle to be well.
But I'll tell you something, Jerry, it's more than rest. Because if you looked at the Kohanim, the priests, the priesthood in the Mishkan or later the temple, they worked harder on the Shabbat than any other day of the week. They worked harder on the holidays because that's when the people would bring all the offerings. Was on that day. Was on Shabbat. It's not about simply resting. It's about acknowledging. He says the Shabbat is a sign between you and me that God made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day, he stopped creating. It's like God gives us signs, and the sign of his existence. Shabbat is a sign of his existence. I work hard on Shabbat.
I'm going to play with the words again,
Okay.
and because I'm just playing. Sometimes you influence me to speak, so I'll speak.
Good.
So you mentioned I could interpret that as saying on the Shabbat we rest from our regular work on the 6 days, and we engage in Shabbat activities. So
Yes.
we're not resting that we're sleeping, we're resting from the regular work and engaging. I could tell you a little story. Should I tell you a little story?
Sure.
This guy went to Shabbat, went to the rabbi, and he's dressed in a beautiful suit. And he tells the rabbi, Rabbi, this is not me. During the week, I'm wearing overalls and I'm working hard, and that's me. And this year with a beautiful suit, and this, it's not me. And the rabbi answered him and said, Sam, perhaps this is you. And the week that you're in the overalls there, that's not you.
Exactly.
So
That's beautiful. Yeah.
have you heard that one before?
No, but I love it because I remember our rabbi talked about it that on Shabbat, he said you dress as if you're coming to meet the king. It's
Right.
it's
So
it's
it's a special day. And you could say it's a rest from our regular work.
yes,
We're putting on
exactly.
our special clothes and a
Right.
special. So we're going to a party. And in fact, I'm pushing here. And in fact, you should celebrate this Shabbat by Simcha. So you should do it. So it's a celebration of that. It's a celebration. Look where we've come.
Right. And not only that, it's a day, um, oh my goodness, I was just thinking about it and then I lost it. Um, yeah, it's a day for us to remember that we are no longer slaves because a slave has to work, has no, can't even go to the bathroom on its own time. Time belongs completely to the master. But here God is saying, you know what? You're free now. Do not enslave yourself to anything else. No thoughts, no religions, no ideologies, but allow yourself to be even not even a slave to God. And unfortunately, what's happened is that there's so many new rules and regulations about the Shabbat that we have made ourselves slaves again to the Shabbat. Whereas God is saying, you don't have to work today. The word is melachto, melach from salt, salary. Don't earn a salary. Don't make anybody else earn a salary. Do not have anybody work, not even your animals. Nobody should earn a salary on this day because now you're free. Now
Yes,
you
I think you've emphasized that quite often, Peggy. That not that we're going to stop doing things. I don't use the word work, but that we're going to be doing things which doesn't evoke a salary, except for certain exclusions, which are the people
medical.
that no. Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking
Okay.
about the people you mentioned who are working in the temples, etc. However, we could slice that. We're good at slicing things. You can say, well, they worked all week to prepare. They did their work, and
Right.
they did their work. Like if they're going to read the Torah, for example, on Saturday, well, they studied it all week long. And
Right.
Saturday, I'm not sure the proper term, but uh,
Shabbat. You
they're
mean
no,
Shabbat?
I mean they're not working, but they're portraying what their work that they did all week. They're showing their work. They're uh, precipitating. You're good with the words, Miriam. So what would you say if you're working all week to do something and you're going to show it, like anytime you're going to do an
Well, the
exposition?
fruit of your work is displayed.
Okay, there's
Sort
probably
of.
many ways
What?
of saying that.
But it's like this one thing I understand now that I didn't understand when our rabbi was alive. Because now I'm more involved in not only this Torah is for everyone on Tuesday night, but also on bringing a message to the community, once or twice a month. So from right at the end of Shabbat, like the next day, the first day of the week, immediately I'm reading again the portion and the whole week preparing for the following Shabbat. Then Shabbat is here, and then the next day preparing for Shabbat. It's like it's almost like a picture of one day us having an eternal Shabbat. Every day
Right.
Shabbat.
Exactly what we were getting towards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With-
people take it too literally that activity, don't work doesn't mean you're inactive. So
Right.
Miriam, I'm going to give you another one of my favorite quotes. I love two people in the world. Those who teach me something and those who understand me. Now, if you think about this for a second, and you will find that in a relationship, if the other person teaches you something and understands you, the relationship is going to be solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Those are, I'm not sure, I don't believe I've seen those quotes. I'm sure someone did say it in the past, but I sort of came up with that as far as I know. Maybe
And
I read it.
If you get that two ways from both people feeling that, you have a wonderful relationship.
Well, you need some, you can't have everything going along smoothly all the time. You need some,
No.
as humans, you need some
friction. Friction. We need friction. Without friction, we wouldn't get anywhere.
We need challenge.
We do.
As we would not understand joy if we did not know sorrow, unfortunately.
Exactly.
And everything else. We would not understand the positives if there was no negative.
Yeah.
Life would have no meaning for us if there was no such thing as death.
Right. And someone said to me, you cannot climb a smooth mountain.
That's true.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so so I enjoy this philosophical things, and I like that you get into that, Peggy, as well.
Yes, Miriam also loves philosophy. We discuss it all the time.
Yeah.
Miriam doesn't only like philosophy.
It's a living thing.
Yes,
It's
she
not
loves.
just
You love
a
philosophy.
word game.
Oftentimes, you come up, and I think you did. You're very on your toes. You corrected a name for Peggy. I was here for that. You corrected. So I was just going to give a good praise to you, Miriam. So I don't know how Peggy would get along without you.
I don't know either. I don't know. Everybody needs a best buddy.
I don't know how I would get along without me. No, joke.
Well, I'm taking advantage of my best buddies for this period of time, anyhow. And that's another philosophical thing in this world. Carpe diem.
Seize the day.
We have to seize the moment.
Yes.
Seize the moment.
And thank God for every moment. And
I
on
think
that
you
note,
had enough of me for tonight, Peggy.
yes, on that note, I'm going to say good night and look forward to seeing you, God willing, next week. Have a wonderful day tomorrow and the rest of the week. Enjoy yourself. It's later than you think.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Well, you're still in the pink.
I don't remember the rest of the words.
You should sing it, Peggy. I'm going to give you a few of the words I would like to hear. It's only 4 lines. Enjoy yourself while you're still in the pink. Enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. Enjoy yourself while you're still in the pink. The years go by. Da-dee-da-da-da-da. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Da-dee-da-da-da-da.
Enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. Enjoy yourself.
While you're
still in the pink.
The
The years go by. Da, 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 da.
Just
Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. It's later than you think.
I think pink, like a wink. The years go by like a wink somehow.
Okay, I'll look it up.
À la prochaine.
À la
À la
prochaine.
prochaine. Thank you.
Au revoir.